plan unfolding. While the powers of darkness assimilated disconnected fragments of the complete plan, the Creator was the author of an exhaustive master plan for all humanity. This gave the agents of light a justifiable advantage over the evil hordes. Throughout the entire period of human history, the Creator never left the planet devoid of those unique individuals serving as generational torchbearers. The torchbearers provided articulation and presence, proclaiming the virtue of enacting the Creator's intent to a largely inexorable populace. The agents of light provided an impenetrable wall of defense for these brightly burning emissaries. Consequently, the powers of darkness, attempting to minimize the propagation of light and its influence. Far too numerous were those who completely ignored the message proclaimed by these human flames intensely burning for their Creator. The primary way to silence these virtuous voices was inciting violence against them, which often culminated in murder. Though the ranks of these radiant emissaries thinned from time to time, the illumination factor was never completely extinguished. In fact, their brilliance was heightened when enemy aggression was most severe. Light always maintained superiority over darkness, irrespective of evil's protracted, overwhelming advance. This was the integral component of the Creator's strategic master plan. He ordained the times, placement, and dispersion of these torchbearers so humanity never lacked for their brilliant luminosity. The Creator propagated a constant, unbroken stream of these uncommon individuals to influence humanity throughout human history. The powers of darkness mimicked this strategy only because it was so effective in promoting virtuous behavior. The depraved, swarming minions were consistently positioned to thwart every aspiration of these blazing emissaries. Certain common principles operate the same whether used for good or evil. Fashioning an apprentice into the desired mold has a comparable methodology for diverse applications. The determining factor of the outcome is the specific instruction received by the apprentice. The methodology relied upon is identical, whether applied for good or evil. With respect to the torchbearers, the apprenticeship analogy could not be more accurate. The instruction for the apprentice was provided by a sage who took an active interest in the prospective student. The instructor noted a spark that indicated the student displayed promise. The instructor's years of learning provided the mold into which the new student was formed. The instructor completely invested himself into the success of his apprentice. This was the primary method of duplicating academic achievement in succeeding generations. The student was literally modeled after his teacher. This determinant kept the light burning within humanity and continued to illuminate this increasingly murky world. Passing knowledge from generation to generation was the most effective means of keeping the flame ignited. The unbroken chain of knowledge could be traced all the way back to the original humans who received instruction directly from the Creator himself. It was part of the Creator's plan to mold humanity into his image, even as they were created in his image. Created in his image implies the available potential for success integrated into an individual human's complete composition, made up by spirit, soul, and body. Molded in his image implies assimilating instruction, using it to build strong and noble character traits in the student. The training provided to the apprentice was rigorous and comprehensive. There were no alternatives for meeting this challenge. The enemy was unrelenting in his tactics, so there was no room for compromise. Precision was not optional because the enemy always sought to gain every advantage. Weakness was not an option, which is why a strong character was such a vital necessity. The apprentice had to be completely immersed in every facet of his instruction, well versed in a diverse scope of disciplines. He had to anticipate every vile tactic of the enemy and how to counter it. The teacher would not always be present, so the student was prepared to function unilaterally. Finally, the student became the teacher, so the cycle could be completed. Fluctuations of innovation within various civilizations throughout history were directly proportional to the level of influence of these torchbearers. During times of peace and prosperity, their influence was pervasive. When their influence was held to a minimum, chaos and destruction reigned. Part of the Creator's plan included such concepts as peace, prosperity, abundance, creativity, and innovation. The Prince of Darkness was in opposition to everything representing the Creator's benevolence. So he worked to unravel the advance of light. The result of his work represented the ills of humanity, including vice, theft, envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice, greed, depravity, and debauchery. This exemplifies classic order versus chaos syndrome. The torchbearers, in league with the Creator's agents of light, operated to mitigate the works of darkness. The goal for the Prince of Darkness was the complete annihilation of humanity. The Creator would never allow this to transpire. The Prince of Darkness was doomed to failure, but that did not prevent him from taking a substantial number of humans with him. The generational torchbearers performed a crucial role in averting humanity's self-destruction. Following the Creator's plan resulted in peace and prosperity, while the opposite path led to death and destruction. These torchbearers were trailblazers, illuminating the path leading to the source of light. They did not simply direct potential light seekers, but provided guidance along the way. Whenever darkness fomented societal upheaval, light countered with a pervasive resurgence of wholesome values. Fighting fire with fire was not an effective battle strategy because a warring faction compromised their scheme in favor of the enemies. This gave the opponent a vital advantage in any conflict. A disciplined strategy required complete adherence to predetermined tactics, preventing the enemy from dictating the battle plan. The agents of light remained in strict compliance with the precision of the Creator's scheme, enabling them to hold the line and keeping darkness at bay. As human history progressed, the Creator artfully and strategically inserted an imperceptibly expanded volume of torchbearers into the equation. This maneuver was designed to keep darkness off balance. As the ebb and flow of light and darkness progressed through specific measurable cycles, the apex of light reached higher plateaus. The cycle meridians were associated with notable periods of Renaissance. These golden ages caused darkness to acquiesce, but they always managed to resuscitate again, exerting their evil influence. The reinvigoration of the reign of darkness always accompanied civilization's decline. Periods of Renaissance became increasingly pervasive as human history advanced. The influence of the Creator appeared to be triumphing over darkness. The revised plan was beginning to demonstrate signs of prevailing. This entire process was a protracted endeavor, but the Creator was completely aware of the outcome, so there were no exposed vulnerabilities. There was still much to accomplish as humanity moved gradually closer to the light. However, the kingdom of darkness was not about to capitulate. The epical struggle between good and evil was far from over. The Prince of Darkness and his minions contrived various political, religious, and philosophic systems to enslave the minds and hearts of humanity. Kingdoms were established and destroyed, civilizations were created and conquered, and conflict between nations was the status quo. Humanity was beginning to crave the influence of light, and the Creator's strategic placement of his blazing emissaries would reinforce wholesale renaissance. The magnitude of this awakening was unprecedented in this fallen world and would enkindle in many hearts a desire to follow the Creator's path. Infrastructure preparation for the plan's final element was proceeding as the Creator had intended. Human hearts were painstakingly remolded in accordance with virtuous principles. This was the result of the pervasive influence furnished by the current rendition of radiant emissaries. Their last propagation formed a mighty army of the Creator's most loyal subjects, effectively dispersed throughout the human realm. The stage was set for the imminent final act on the human scene. Plan fulfillment. The Creator regularly sojourned throughout the entirety of the human biosphere, seeking receptive hearts to establish his reign among humanity. As evil devices of darkness were increasingly being exposed, his cherished race of beings was becoming more responsive to his benevolence. Humanity was beginning to see the reign of darkness for what it was, and this carried a revulsion toward deception. The members of the eternal realm were starting to realize how allowing the hordes of evil to overplay their hand in promoting evil was instrumental in producing this change. What initially appeared as a hands-off approach to human events was now acknowledged as wielding a profoundly effective strategy. The author of life was about to enter the human scene. Though he had made several visible appearances into the human realm, this was vastly different. Those previous manifestations entailed a supernatural being breaking into the earthly realm in human form. He was about to take on human form in the same manner as other humans. He would be born, enter life as a child and grow to maturity. This was the only way he could experience the frailty of human existence. He would be the torchbearer of torchbearers, and his mission was to display the light for all to see. His assignment was to actively demonstrate the full intent of the Creator's purpose for humanity, bringing them back into the relationship that was squandered by the original humans. The High Council Secretary was complimenting his entry into the human realm as a flood of memories assailed every level of his sensibilities. He was taken back to the plan of creation. He remembered hardly being able to contain the excitement they shared. The brainstorming sessions were beyond description, as every extravagant concept was in process of being envisioned. He savored recollections of infinite epochs situated at a drafting table, formulating destinies for every human life. The profound affection he carried for these humans was beyond extravagant. This sentiment exceeded the bounds of simple collective emotional response. The Secretary carried his affection for each individual human, not simply the race. He had no favorites, yet each was his favorite. The female had been chosen, and the messenger guild announced the event. The young maiden, overcome with awe, responded with her willingness to participate. The Creator used the Secretary's embedded code to form the seed which he implanted within the mother. At the point of conception, the Secretary's spirit was directly imparted into the developing infant. The author of life temporarily vacated his station in the heavenly realm to occupy a human body. The implications of this event were profound, beyond imagination. The Secretary's entry into the human scene transpired with minimum fanfare. Such humble beginnings for the master designer of all creation just seemed so out of character. He soon became intimately acquainted with the meager existence humans had to endure. Life was a struggle with opposition at every turn. He lived his life in this hostile environment and faced the challenges impeccably. The life he lived was a testing ground, providing examples for humans to emulate. When he took on human form, he not only left behind his position in the heavenly realm, he was also stripped of supernatural power. He had to face life as a human, embracing all limitations associated with this existence. The key to success in this venture was full adherence to the ways of the Creator. The Creator established a path for the Secretary's human life, the same as all humans. The only advantage he possessed over other humans was an early assertion of the Creator's existence. As a young boy, he responded positively to the Creator's promptings. This established an enduring bond that flourished at an astounding rate. Though they enjoyed a unique kinship in the heavenly realm, the relationship in the present realm had to grow within the constraints of human development. When the Secretary reached full human maturity, the connection between him and the Creator was fully operational. As the Secretary attained manhood, he fully entered his calling. He was the light of the world and would be the standard for future torchbearers to follow. He amassed a significant multitude of adherents who craved the wisdom of the ages. He was the teacher of teachers, revealing the Creator's heart to a disintegrating world. Though many embraced his message, the ruling class was vehemently opposed to his teachings. They looked upon his influence as a threat to their power structure. The powers of darkness were intensely agitated by the sequence of events leading up to this moment. The Creator's forces had maintained an impenetrable wall of protection for the secretary and his followers. Then the order came for the powers of light to stand down. They were incredulous that the Creator would abandon this successful advance. They were taken back, so much territory, and now this? They trusted the Creator's tactics and knew He had a reason for this bewildering change of direction. The powers of darkness saw their opportunity and swarmed into position to fill the void vacated by the armies of light. The hordes of evil incited the civil authorities into capturing the secretary, holding a mock trial and executing this human from the heavenly realm. Everything turned so abruptly that humans and guild members alike were caught completely off guard. They were left having to endure a deafening shriek, voiced by the victorious dark minions. It seemed all hope was lost when the powers of darkness seized the secretary's spirit as he was departing from his lifeless form. They imprisoned the secretary to inflict unimaginable torture upon him, enduring the consequences of a lawless humanity. From the secretary's perspective, his torment continued for a multitude of eternities. He relived every moment of formulating every plan. He endured the seemingly unending repercussions of the morally flawed humans. He satisfied the requirements of atonement for every human wrong. After some unimaginable expanse of time, the Creator deemed the price for the ransom of humans as paid in full. The voice of the Creator boomed throughout every realm in existence. It is finished. Release him now. The kingdom of darkness reeled as it was rocked to the core. They were jubilant when victory appeared to be theirs. Victory was violently snatched from them as their doom was now sealed. The secretary's spirit was instantly released from the torture chamber. He triumphantly escorted a column of human spirits into the heavenly realm. They lived their lives exercising moral restraint by following the path of light. He joyfully presented these ransomed trophies to the Creator as they received their full reward, and guild members joined in ecstatic jubilation. In the human realm, 3 days had passed, and the secretary's followers were aghast with deep despair. In an instant, the secretary's spirit infused his lifeless corpse, his body metamorphosed from a temporal to an eternal physique, instantly defeating death and the grave. He earnestly sought out his closest followers and proclaimed the liberty which had just occurred. He was victorious over death itself, and humans were no longer denied access to the heavenly realm. The Creator's plan to restore the relationship enjoyed between him and the first humans was now complete. The secretary's physical habitation among humans now came to an end, and he was restored to his position in the heavenly realm. It was now left for his followers to raise up the new generation of torchbearers to proclaim the secretary's message of relationship restored with the Creator. The hearers of this message would have to embrace it to live a completely fulfilled life. These torchbearers would continue their mission until the fullness of time, when all humanity received the message of truth and darkness was completely vanquished. In the meantime, the followers of the Creator were given the authority to simultaneously coexist in two realms. Their human frame was mostly restricted to the confines of the natural biosphere, while the spirit could soar into the supernaturally heavenly realm. This important distinction enabled them to fully live out their lives in the fullness that the Creator intended from the very beginning. The outcome for the author of life, reaping and bearing the consequences for errant humanity, was restoring a relationship with humanity and securing eternal life for them. Destiny's design and fulfillment was complete. What next? How does the preceding narrative apply to us, and what should be our response to this perspective? First and foremost, dream and dream big. No dream is too big. In this case, bigger is better. Next, do not let anyone or anything keep you from realizing your full potential. Finally, keep your focus and filter out all distractions. What is the difference between someone who lives their dream and others who never realize their dream? What separates the two? Those who refuse to be talked out of realizing their dream are unstoppable. No one can tell them any different. They refuse to be dissuaded. They rarely, if ever, stop believing. They just seem to have that inner knowing of a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. We all know someone like this. Pay attention and learn from them. People with this mindset are virtually unrestrainable in attaining their aspirations to the point of being consumed. No obstacle is too great for them to surmount. No one can ever talk them out of pursuing their dream, nor would few even dare try. If you spend much time around this rare type of person, it does not take long to discern these motivating factors. Why is this such a rarity among those numbered among humanity when it should be the norm? For the rest of us ordinary mortals, this just seems a little extreme. In fact, we live in a day where the extreme is glorified. We crave success and living our dreams, but we settle for a mundane existence every time. This differentiates the dreamers who turn their dreams into reality and those who do not. Much of humanity chooses the effortless way out because it is more predictable and less work. In the final analysis, pursuing your dreams requires challenging work and devotion. It takes work to believe in yourself and put into action whatever will bring your dreams into reality. Unstoppable dreamers embrace the required actions as not being burdensome for them. Devotion to reaching desires triggers them toward achievement of chosen pursuits. When we see an individual living their dream, we are only aware of the result. All the arduous work and sacrifice which resulted in achieving success escape our direct observation. Unless that individual is a personal acquaintance, we never get an inside track on their progression towards success. Truly successful individuals can envision the destination while thoroughly enjoying the journey. Life is a journey, and if you are not enjoying the ride, it probably will not be any different once you reach your destination. Even though we find life to be a daily drudgery, we somehow delude ourselves into thinking that it will suddenly change when we reach the climax. The person we are becoming is that same person who is progressing toward the ultimate point of arrival. Living your dream demands willingness to act, bringing it to fruition. It is your dream, and you have the sole responsibility for its materialization. The reasons for not living your dream are plentiful, but how bad do you really want it? If you do not allow anyone or anything to impede your progress, you will aspire to your desires. Vision and tenacity are required to proceed on this journey. Discouragement and procrastination are your worst enemies. Having an unobstructed vision of how to reach your goals and following through will effectively combat discouragement. Tenacity will defeat procrastination and will also work to battle discouragement. Vision and tenacity work well together in keeping you motivated. Motivation is paramount, and momentum keeps you moving in the right direction. Motivation is the spark that gets you started and helps you build momentum. Once you build the necessary momentum, it takes less motivation to keep the process in motion. This operation works like a chain reaction and has the potential for moving you in the direction of achieving your dreams. This is no different than the basic laws of motion, which keep the entire natural universe in operation. Natural laws of physics can provide helpful analogies to explain human behavior. It is amazing to note the parallels between these two areas of study, which seems to imply a certain unity in creative order. Our first course of action is to eradicate every worthless encumbrance. We dedicate our lifetime to accumulating erroneous paraphernalia, which serves only to detract and detain us from reaching our goal. We must destroy the barricades which tend to impede progress toward our desired destination. Be prepared to invest a generous amount of time and effort reversing acquired mindsets, behavior patterns, and conditioned responses. Mastering this new lifestyle does not materialize instantaneously or painlessly. We must discard our stagnant pursuance in exchange for acquiring a fresh approach to realizing our dreams. The most effective way to implement this new lifestyle is to stop focusing on negative mindsets, which engender corresponding behavior and response. As a man thinks is a universal principle, which is a crucial life application for success. You are as you think. That is the reason for dreaming big. Big dreams lead to big thoughts, which lead to big actions. This accelerates you down that road of success. Forcing your mindset into alignment with your dreams is the most empowering and liberating activity in which you can engage. Acquiring and adhering to this fresh mindset is key to realizing all your dreams, but in no way denies reality. Instead, it allows you to embrace every challenge life throws your way. Life's barricades can now be viewed as discovering new methods for inspiring innovation. A fresh mindset must be accompanied by words and a lifestyle that are not in conflict. The words of your mouth will establish the baseline for your surrounding existence. Words create worlds. While this may sound like an oversimplification, This is abundantly evident in our daily experience. An unrenewed mindset may agree with the following statement: if it was not for bad luck, I would not have any luck at all. If you accept this in a negative context, why would it not work the same in a positive context? This universal principle applies in both contexts. A renewed mindset in sync with your dreams translates into positive vocalization, activating your dreams. You ignore this to your detriment. This is a crucial part of the action plan for realizing your dreams. When I say not to let anyone or anything keep you from realizing your full potential, that first anyone is you. We are snared by the words of our mouth, and we need to be cognizant of how we derail our own destiny. Keeping your focus and filtering out all distractions is a final important key to realizing your dreams. It is a given that distractions abound in life and the society we live in. Aim for your well-defined goal and maintain a high priority for reaching it. Life happens, but you must surmount the obstacles and you will succeed. Concluding thoughts. All I have said thus far will help you achieve success. These are universal principles. However, if you neglect a relationship with the Creator, you are missing out on the most valuable ingredient for success. There is a reason you have made it to this juncture of my narrative. The God who loves and cares deeply for you arranged this moment in the days of antiquity. What follows is a historical summary of the Creator's plan for humanity. After forming this planet and populating it with every life form imaginable, He placed within it a man and a woman as caretakers. He instructed them to be fruitful and multiply, but inserted a single note of caution: refrain from eating the fruit of a tree in the middle of a certain garden. The footnote added to this cautionary warning was, on the day you eat of this said fruit, you shall die. Now the case could be made concerning a loving God. Why would the lure connected with such dire consequence be placed right in the center of one's existence? The answer to this question is multifaceted. The man and woman were given a quest to prove their loyalty to their Creator. If the lure to break the loyalty pact is located directly in the center of their existence, this would be a true test of loyalty. Also, if the one demonstrating the loyalty was inclined to deviate from the pact, the proximity of the lure would have absolutely no bearing. Entering upon the scene is the spoiler, who was filled with jealousy over the love and relationship shared between God and these two created beings. The spoiler was at odds with the Creator and devised a plan to lure the man and woman away from the protection of the Creator. The spoiler isolated the woman and got her to focus on the beauty and desirability of the forbidden fruit. Why would the Creator want to deprive you of such a desirable fruit, he reasoned. The woman yielded to the spoiler's logic and persuaded the man to partake of the fruit along with her. As soon as they shared the forbidden fruit, they realized the deception of the spoiler. They tried in vain to disguise the fact of their deception, but the Creator was completely aware of the breach. When they tried to shift the blame on the other individuals involved, it only sealed the curse they brought upon themselves. This act of indiscretion broke the loyalty pact between the Creator and His creation. The beautiful relationship in the garden was now tarnished beyond repair. Death now entered upon the human seed. God Himself breathed life into man, and he became a living being, created in God's own image. When God was removed from the equation through this loyalty breach, death began its cruel reign. Yet God had a plan to restore the breach and renew the relationship. The plan involved God Himself entering the human scene. Through the seed of a woman, He would live the perfect life, fulfill every impossible expectation, and pay the supreme sacrifice with His very own lifeblood. It was the only way, a life for a life. This was the only acceptable form of payment for redemption. On the third day, that holy seed planted in the grave rose from the dead, never to die again. The good news is, anyone who believes in these words and puts their faith in the sacrifice and resurrection of the Savior, Jesus of Nazareth, will have eternal life. Best of all, you will be empowered to live victoriously in the here and now. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have eternal life. John 3:16 in the New International Version of the Bible. This is your opportunity to begin a relationship with the Creator based entirely upon the requirements fulfilled by Jesus of Nazareth. Acknowledge living a life of moral deviation, receive the clemency He offers, and embark upon a new journey of complete freedom. Just talk to Him. He's waiting to hear from you.